Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for SaaSMe today. I'm Eric Christopher, co-founder and CEO of Zylo. And I'm so thrilled to have all of you. Building on last session with Byron, who shared a lot of great insights from the state of the cloud and Cloud 100 and pulled together some great insights about what's happening in the world of technology and specifically cloud growth in the enterprise, which is sort of shocking how fast things are growing. We pulled together our own set of data as well that's based on 5 years of accumulated SaaS data that we have across our customers. And I'm excited to share a little bit about what that's going to be about today. So we're releasing a report in December called the 2021 SaaS Management Index. We've done this for 4 years. We've now newly named it the index. It's built on a large set of data now. We believe it's an industry a standard of data that we're going to use going forward. A lot of companies are to look for insights and predictions and a lot of ways to understand how to do planning for software. And this data consists of, I want to kind of talk a little bit about what it comes from and how it's pulled together. We focus on lots of different data sets that are coming from SaaS applications that companies are using, but the primary sources are what you're paying for. So we look at what companies are spending on software. We look at usage. So we want to understand how employees are adopting software. And so we measure utilization that comes from the SaaS providers directly. And then we also look at licensing details. So we understand on the contracts what features and levels that are being licensed. And so we bring those three things together to help organizations understand if they're getting the most out of those applications. And so this data has lots of stories and lots of information that are insightful. And I'm excited to share a lot more about that soon. But as a token of you joining today, we're going to talk about a couple takeaways that we've found so far from our data. The first, which is not surprising, is the SaaS explosion continues. When we started the business and for the last several years, we look at analyst reports. One that comes to mind is Gartner has been predicting that cloud and SaaS growth would be 20% year over year, kind of for no end in sight. In this last year, it's only growing faster. We see companies that are doubling sometimes their spend in software. We see companies that are growing a lot faster than 20%. What I wanted to focus on was not just the spend of the applications and the growth of the entire portfolio, but looking at the number of SaaS applications. In 2019, our average customer, and keep in mind, we work with generally larger organizations that had 600 applications. And then in 2021, it's grown quickly to over 700. So it's not only the spend and investments are increasing because of our needs to be able to be connected virtually, but it's happening in the per application in each organization. The number of applications on the right, you can see also, you can look at that by employee size. So it's really interesting to look at, a 100 employee company or a sub 500 employee company, the sheer number of applications that are being used, it's hard to manage. And as the enterprise grows, the challenges only rise further. And then if you look at cost per employee, we've looked at this for a few years now, watching this grow, but we calculate based on the number of application and spend. We'll look at each employee, how many applications that they have and what the investment is per employee. And it's gone quickly in just a couple of years from 4,000 to nearly 6,000. We see that continue to grow. That kind of cost per year per employee is starting to get up to costs such as employee healthcare and other investments that you might be making for your employees. So this is now something that's real. And that when you think about planning and forecasting and a lot of the challenges related to that, this kind of thinking and focus on managing your per employee cost of SaaS is important than ever. And SaaS really is the new normal. We talk a lot about today, return to office and hybrid and remote is kind of a topic that you just see over and over in publications and probably in your own companies. The one constant is going to be your workplace, your new headquarters is your digital experience. Whether you're in the office or whether you're at home, we are working through products like Zoom, Slack, Salesforce, Microsoft. This is our experience. And your job as an IT and finance is really to help orchestrate all of these applications to work together to be a digital HQ or a digital workspace for your employees. So how do you make that happen is going to be a strategy that's going to be important. A lot of the sessions today about SaaS management will hit that nail right on the head about what needs to happen, or some examples and case studies to give you some inspiration to bring to your companies as well. Another trend is the decentralization of SaaS. And I think when you think about IT and finance, typically really are the ones responsible for managing costs, managing risks, which then inherently would be managing the overall technology spend and investments. But what's been happening over the last really 2 decades has been this decentralization trend. It started with SaaS going into the business units. Marketing and the CMO was always a good example of how many applications that they would run for the business, or now it's HR is a very fast growing line of software. So IT is no longer just the sole buyer of software, and that's been happening for a while. But product-led companies that are all of the software companies that we know, SaaS companies that are running free trials, making it very easy for 1 or 2 employees to buy software. That is the new norm of how companies are approaching enterprises and starting to do business. And so setting your organization up for that environment is really critical. There's never been a number of vendors, and sophisticated ones at that are working with your enterprise and making sales, and customer and your employees are buying those applications, makes it very challenging. And so it's important that IT and finance have a strategy to support the business. When you think about the ownership shift, there's a couple things I just wanted to highlight. One, on the spend. When we started our business 5 years ago, we would find that most companies would have about half of the visibility they thought they had in control of SaaS spend. So common to go in for us to learn that in all the other departments, there's a lot of hidden opportunities for IT to help support the organization in finding number of applications and spend. That spend is actually now in nearly a quarter of total spend is managed by IT, and most of the SaaS spending is actually happening out in the business. So it's more important than ever to have a strategy around that. Also, is the number of applications. That is also that correlates in the same way as spend, where the software is out in the business, and it really only makes sense. We're seeing it firsthand. We're seeing the adoption. We're seeing free trials. We're seeing every department buy software, which creates a really big challenge when your IT department's not growing in correlation to that, or investments to help manage it. So the role of IT is shifting, and especially in software management. And historically, I think the viewpoint a lot of times is that IT and finance are the gatekeeper, and many times organizations or departments within the organization might try to avoid IT to buy and acquire software. With the world that we're in now, since the software is out in the business, it's such a perfect opportunity to really take advantage of the times that we're in and become a true enabler. And really the business is requiring all IT and finance and operations professionals to really become an enabler, becoming an expert on SaaS management, helping with purchasing process, having visibility, providing access to software. This is now less about licensing audits. For example, if you're coming from the software asset management world, it's now more about getting the right tools in your employees' hands. It's making sure they're being used. It's making sure they're making good purchasing decisions, looking at what applications are in their business. And so that's the new world that we're in. And it's such a great opportunity to be the enabler. We've been talking about it for several years, about IT becoming a business partner. Timing is now more than ever. I'm so excited to share more about the details and some other things that are going to come out of the data here in December, and more to come. But just the takeaways are SaaS management is growing faster than ever. It's way beyond IT. That genie has left the bottle, and software is all over the business, and it's hard to manage. And timing is now to start thinking about building programs if you're not already, or starting to invest more into it. SaaS is the new office, and this is going to be really where the employee experience lies. So today will be all about helping you, if you're running SaaS management programs today, learn best practices, and if you're not, give you some ways to start communicating ideas and strategies to implement SaaS management in your enterprise. Because if you don't really start now, the compounding issues that we just talked about are going to continue, and it just makes it harder and harder to manage. So excited for today, excited for all of you to be here thinking about SaaS management with us. and excited. We're going to start with our next session. I hope you join us to learn from our customer Adobe, who is a trailblazer in SaaS management. We work alongside them, and we'll share some stories and best practices that I think you will enjoy and learn from. So thanks, and enjoy the day, and have some fun. Thanks.